The lobby of Lennox Group headquarters fell silent. A single dad janitor stood frozen as security alarms blared. His worn canvas bag triggered the new detection system. Something suspicious inside. CEO Amelia Lennox stepped forward, her voice ice cold. "Search his bag." Now, security yanked the bag open in front of dozens of employees. Everyone watched. But what spilled out wasn't a weapon, wasn't stolen goods. A children's notebook covered in crayon scribbles, and one small shoe badly burned. People started laughing, mocking him. Then the CEO's mother appeared. She saw the shoe. Her face went white, her hands trembled. "Where did you get this?" The entire room froze. Noah Briggs wasn't supposed to be noticed. At 38 years old, he worked the night shift at Lennox Group headquarters, mopping floors, emptying trash bins, cleaning the executive bathrooms that smelled like expensive cologne. Nobody knew his name. Most employees walked past him like he was invisible, like the furniture, like the potted plants in the marble lobby. But Noah didn't mind. Invisible meant safe. Invisible meant stable. And stable meant he could provide for the one person who mattered, his 6-year-old son, Evan. Every night, Noah clocked in at 11 p.m. Every morning, he clocked out at 7. Then he'd rush home to wake Evan up, make breakfast, pack lunch, walk him to school. Then he'd sleep 4 hours, pick Evan up, help with homework, make dinner, read bedtime stories, then back to Lennox Group for another shift. The worn canvas bag he carried everywhere told the story of their life together. No fancy backpack, no leather briefcase, just faded fabric with the broken zipper he'd repaired with duct tape. Inside that bag lived their world. Evan's sketchbook, the one with Hero Dad written in crooked letters on the cover, filled with drawings of superheroes, of firefighters, of a tall man with kind eyes holding a little boy's hand, Band-Aids and antiseptic wipes, because 6-year-olds fall down a lot, snacks wrapped in napkins, crackers, an apple, whatever was left over from Evan's lunch. In one small shoe, badly burned, the rubber melted on one side, the laces charred black. Noah never told anyone why he kept it. The Lennox Group was preparing for something big, a $300 million merger, the biggest deal in company history. CEO Amelia Lennox was everywhere. 32 years old, sharp, demanding. The kind of woman who noticed every detail out of place. She'd inherited the company from her father 2 years ago. Since then, she'd doubled revenue, expanded into 6 new markets, made Forbes' 30 under 35 list. She expected perfection from everyone. Her employees respected her. Some feared her. None of them really knew her. One night, Noah saw something the day shift had missed. Broken glass near the elevator. Tiny shards scattered across the floor. Sharp enough to slice through someone's shoe. Sharp enough to hurt. He got down on his knees. Picked up every piece. One by one. 10 minutes later, a young intern rushed past. High heels clicking. Phone pressed into her ear. She would have stepped right on it. Noah watched her disappear around the corner. Safe, nobody noticed. Nobody thanked him. That was fine. He wasn't looking for thanks. But the security cameras saw everything. The new AI system, the one Amelia had installed last month. State-of-the-art, $15 million. It was learning, watching, analyzing patterns. And one night it decided Noah's bag was suspicious. The system detected heat signatures, unusual density, objects that didn't match normal employee belongings. The burned shoe registered as a potential threat. The metal zipper pull, the worn fabric showing stress patterns. At 6:45 a.m., as Noah prepared to leave, the alarms screamed to life. Red lights flooded the lobby. Security rushed forward. Employees stopped mid-stride. And Amelia Lennox stepped out of her office, still there after working all night. Her eyes locked on Noah. She didn't ask questions, didn't wait for explanations. Her voice cut through the chaos. Cold. Absolute. "Search his bag. Now." 2 security guards moved toward Noah. Fast. Professional. The entire lobby watched. Executives in expensive suits. Assistants holding coffee cups. Cleaning staff frozen mid-task. Noah stood perfectly still, His hand gripped the canvas bag strap. "Sir, we need you to place the bag on the floor." The lead guard's voice was firm, not cruel, just following orders. Noah looked at Amelia. She stared back. No warmth in her eyes, just cold assessment. He lowered the bag slowly, placed it on the polished marble floor. The second guard unzipped it, reached inside. First came the sketchbook. He held it up. Pages fluttered open. Crayon drawings of stick figures. Bright colors, childish hearts. Someone snickered. "Ah, how cute," a woman in the back said. Her tone made it sound like an insult. Next came the Band-Aids, the antiseptic wipes, the carefully wrapped crackers. "Poor people problems," a junior executive muttered to his colleague, loud enough for everyone to hear. Then the guard pulled out the shoe, the burned shoe, small, clearly a child's size. The rubber melted and blackened, the fabric charred. He held it up like evidence at a crime scene. The lobby erupted in confused whispers. "What the hell is that? Why would someone bring that to work? That's disgusting." A senior manager pushed through the crowd. Richard Chen, VP of Operations. He looked at the shoe, looked at Noah, smiled. "This is what poverty looks like, people. Bringing literal garbage into our building." Laughter rippled through some of the crowd. Not everyone, but enough. Noah's jaw tightened. His hands formed fists at his sides. But he said nothing. Amelia stepped closer. She picked up the burned shoe, examined it like a specimen under a microscope. "Explain this." Her voice was sharp, demanding. Noah met her eyes. "It's my son's." "Your son's." She repeated it slowly, like she was trying to understand a foreign language. "Yes, ma'am." "Why are you carrying a burned shoe in your work bag?" The question hung in the air, heavy, humiliating. Noah swallowed hard. It's important to him. To us." Richard Chen laughed out loud. "What kind of father keeps a burnt shoe? Can't even afford to buy the kid new ones?" More laughter. Quieter this time, but still there. Noah's face flushed red, but his voice stayed steady. "The shoe is fine. It's just pathetic," Richard interrupted. "You know what this building represents? Excellence, success, and you're bringing in trash." Amelia held up her hand. Silence fell immediately. She turned the shoe over in her hands, studying it, the melted rubber, the scorch marks, the way the laces had fused together from heat. "How did this happen?" she asked. "A fire." Noah's voice was barely above a whisper. "A fire." "Yes, ma'am." "When?" 7 years ago." Something flickered across Amelia's face, too fast to read. Then it was gone. She dropped the shoe back into the bag, wiped her hands on her skirt like she'd touched something contaminated. "Security will escort you out. Collect your final paycheck from HR on Monday." The words hit like a physical blow. Noah's eyes widened. "Miss Lennox, please. I need this job. My son should have thought about that before bringing inappropriate items into a secure facility. It's just a shoe. It's not dangerous. I've been carrying it for months, and are you arguing with me?" The lobby went dead silent. Noah closed his mouth, his shoulders sagged. He bent down to gather his belongings. His hands shook as he stuffed the sketchbook back into the bag. The crackers, the Band-Aids. He reached for the burned shoe. That's when the elevator chimed. The door slid open. Eleanor Lennox stepped out. 70 years old, silver hair pulled back in an elegant bun, designer clothes. The kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. Amelia's mother. Former CEO before her husband took over. Board member. The real power behind Lennox Group. She walked toward the crowd, her cane tapping against marble. Everyone stepped back, made a path. Eleanor's eyes scanned the scene. The security guards, the scattered contents of Noah's bag, the employees standing around like spectators at an execution. Then her gaze landed on the burned shoe. She stopped walking. Her cane hit the floor hard. Once. The sound echoed. "No!" Her voice was barely a whisper. She moved faster, pushed past security, reached down and picked up the shoe with trembling hands. Her face went completely white. She turned it over. examined every detail, the size, the style, the specific pattern of burn marks. Her breathing quickened. She looked up at Noah, really looked at him. His face, his eyes, the scar visible just above his collar line. "Where did you get this?" Her voice cracked. Noah met her gaze. "It's my son's, ma'am." "No." Eleanor shook her head. "No, this shoe. This specific shoe. Where did you get it?" Amelia stepped forward. "Mother, what's wrong?" Eleanor ignored her. Her eyes stayed locked on Noah. "You were there," she whispered. "7 years ago, the warehouse fire." Noah's expression shifted. Recognition. Eleanor grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "You pulled her out. You saved her." The lobby went completely silent. Amelia looked between her mother and Noah, confused. "Mother, what are you talking about?" Eleanor turned to her daughter, tears streaming down her face. "This man saved your life. Type truth if you want the full reveal." The lobby felt like it had run out of air. Amelia stared at her mother. "What are you talking about?" Eleanor's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She clutched the burned shoe against her chest. 7 years ago, you were 25. Do you remember the warehouse inspection?" Amelia's face went blank. There was a fire. I know there was a fire, but I don't remember much. The doctors said the smoke inhalation caused memory loss, yes." Eleanor turned to face the crowd. Her voice grew stronger, louder. "My daughter nearly died that day, and everyone in this room needs to hear what really happened." Richard Chen shifted uncomfortably. The other employees leaned in. Eleanor began. "It was August 15th, 7 years ago. Amelia was conducting a safety inspection at our old storage facility on Riverside. She was trying to prove herself. Her father had just made her VP of operations. Some board members said she was too young, too inexperienced." Amelia's face flushed. She remembered the pressure, the constant need to prove herself worthy. "She went alone," Eleanor continued, "against protocol. She wanted to show she didn't need handlers, didn't need help." Noah stood perfectly still, listening. "There was faulty wiring in the East Wing. Old building. Scheduled for demolition the next month. But someone had stored chemical supplies there anyway. Cleaning solvents, industrial paint thinner." Eleanor's voice wavered. "The wiring sparked. The chemicals ignited. The entire East Wing went up in seconds." Amelia's hand went to her throat, a reflexive gesture. Amelia was inside. The smoke hit fast. She collapsed near the storage racks, unconscious. The crowd was completely silent now. "I got the call at 2:37 p.m. They told me there was a fire. They told me my daughter was inside. They told me the firefighters couldn't reach her in time." A tear rolled down Eleanor's cheek. "The chemical fire was too intense, too hot. The structure was collapsing. They said it was too dangerous. They said they had to wait for specialized equipment." She looked at Noah. "But someone didn't wait." Noah's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on the floor. A construction worker, young man. He was doing electrical work in the West Wing. He heard the explosion. He saw the smoke. Eleanor walked closer to Noah. Security footage from the exterior cameras showed him running toward the fire. Not away, toward it. Amelia's breathing quickened. He had no protective gear, no oxygen mask, no fireproof suit. Just his work clothes and a wet cloth he tied around his face. Eleanor's voice broke. He went inside that burning building. While firefighters were still setting up equipment, while everyone else was running away, he went in. Richard Chen's smug expression had completely vanished. "The interior cameras were destroyed in the fire, but we found Amelia outside the building 7 minutes later. Unconscious, covered in soot, but alive." Eleanor reached out and touched Noah's face, gentle, like he was something precious. "And we found this man collapsed 20 feet away. His hands were burned, his shirt was smoking. His shoes?" She held up the small burned shoe. "He lost one of his own shoes in the fire. The heat melted the rubber right off his foot. He grabbed this child's shoe from a donation box in the hallway, used it to protect his burned foot so he could keep running, keep carrying her." The shoe suddenly made terrible, beautiful sense. He got Amelia out, set her down safely, and then he disappeared into the crowd before the ambulances arrived. Amelia's eyes were wide, disbelieving. "We searched for him," Eleanor said. "We put out public appeals, offered a reward, but we only had grainy exterior footage. His face was covered in soot. We couldn't identify him." She turned back to Noah. "But I never forgot what he said. One witness heard him before he left. A police officer asked for his name. Eleanor's voice dropped to a whisper. He said, 'As long as she's safe.' And then he was gone." Amelia's hand covered her mouth. Eleanor looked at Noah's face. Really looked. "I see it now. The eyes, the same height, and this." She reached out and gently pulled down Noah's collar, revealing a burn scar that ran from his neck down toward his shoulder. "That's from the fire," Noah said quietly. "Falling beam. Got me on the way out." Amelia made a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. "Why?" she whispered. "Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell us who you were?" Noah met her eyes for the first time since Eleanor started talking. "Because I wasn't looking for recognition, ma'am. I did what anyone should do, what I hoped someone would do for my son if he was in danger." "Anyone?" Amelia's voice rose. "Anyone would run into a burning building? If it meant saving a life, yes. You almost died, but you didn't." Noah's voice was simple, matter of fact. That's what mattered. Amelia looked at the burned shoe in her mother's hands. "And you kept this? All these years?" "Evan found it in my things when he was 4. Asked about it. I told him it was from the day his dad tried to be a hero." "Tried?" Eleanor's voice shook with emotion. "You succeeded." Noah shook his head. "Heroes are people who do impossible things. I just did what was necessary." Amelia looked around the lobby, at Richard Chen, who couldn't meet her eyes, at the security guard still holding Noah's bag, at the employees who had laughed. Her face hardened. "Mr. Chen, you're suspended, effective immediately. HR will contact you Monday about your termination process." Richard's mouth fell open. "Ms. Lennox, Get out of my building." He left without another word. Amelia turned to the crowd. "Everyone else, return to your stations, now." The lobby cleared in seconds. Only Noah, Amelia, Eleanor, and the 2 security guards remained. Amelia's voice cracked when she finally spoke. "I yelled at you. I humiliated you. I fired the man who saved my life." Noah started to respond, but Amelia held up her hand. "Please, come with me." She led him toward the executive elevators. Eleanor followed, still clutching the small burned shoe like a sacred relic. The 3 of them rode up in silence, to the top floor, where everything was about to change. The executive conference room overlooked the entire city, floor-to-ceiling windows, a table that could seat 20. Amelia gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." Noah hesitated. He'd cleaned this room 100 times. Never sat in it, he sat. Eleanor placed the burned shoe gently on the table between them, like a centerpiece, a reminder. Amelia's hands were shaking. "I don't know how to. I can't." She stopped, took a breath, started again. "Mr. Briggs, Noah, I owe you my life, and today I treated you like you were nothing." "You didn't know," Noah said quietly. "That's not an excuse." Amelia's voice was firm. "I should have asked questions, should have listened. Instead, I assumed the worst because of a bag and a shoe." Eleanor reached over and squeezed her daughter's hand. Amelia continued. "My father taught me that a company is only as strong as how it treats its people, all its people, and I failed that test today." She looked directly at Noah. "I can't undo what happened in that lobby, but I can make sure it never happens again." Noah started to speak, but Amelia held up her hand. "Effective immediately, you're promoted to Safety Compliance Specialist. Salary $120,000. Full benefits. College fund for Evan." Noah's eyes went wide. "Ms. Lennox, I'm just a janitor. I don't have qualifications for—" "You have the most important qualification." Eleanor's voice was gentle but firm. "You understand what safety actually means, not protocols on paper. Real safety, the kind that saves lives." Amelia nodded. We're about to finalize that $300 million merger. It includes acquiring 4 manufacturing facilities. I need someone who can look at those buildings and see the dangers nobody else notices. She pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. This is the preliminary safety report from our engineering team. They approved all 4 facilities. I want you to review it. Tell me what they missed. Noah opened the folder. His eyes scanned the pages. Within 2 minutes, his finger stopped on a line. This electrical specification, Building 3. They're using aluminum wiring in a high-moisture environment and it's technically code compliant, but what? Amelia leaned forward. But it's the same setup that caused the warehouse fire 7 years ago. Give it 5 years, maybe less. Corrosion, heat buildup, then spark. Amelia's face went pale. She grabbed her phone by Shimon. Cancel the acquisition now. Tell them we need to renegotiate terms pending safety compliance. She looked at Noah. You just saved this company $2 million in future liability. Possibly saved lives. Eleanor smiled. See? You already earned that salary. Over the following weeks, Noah transformed. Gone were the janitor's coveralls. He wore business casual now, carried a tablet instead of a mop. But he never forgot where he came from. He still arrived early, still noticed the small things others missed. The loose handrail, the flickering emergency light, the exit door that stuck. He launched a program called Silent Heroes, an initiative to recognize employees who prevented accidents, who cleaned up dangers, who helped without being asked. The first award went to Maria, a housekeeper who'd reported a gas leak nobody else smelled. The second went to James, a security guard who'd installed his own carbon monoxide detector in the parking garage. Eleanor became a regular visitor. She brought cookies for Evan. Evan brought her drawings. The boy's sketchbook filled with new pictures. Amelia reading to him in the break room. Eleanor teaching him chess. His father wearing a tie. And one picture Amelia kept in her office. A crude drawing of a man carrying a woman out of flames, labeled in crooked letters, "The day Dad became her hero." 1 year later, the annual Lennox Group Gala. 500 guests, crystal chandeliers, orchestra playing softly. Amelia stood at the podium, confident, poised, but her voice carried something new, warmth. Tonight we're honoring someone who changed this company, not with quarterly reports, not with profit margins, but by reminding us what we stand for. She gestured to the side of the stage. Noah stepped out, still uncomfortable in his tuxedo. Evan walked beside him, holding his hand. The boy wore a matching suit. The crowd applauded. Noah Briggs joined our safety division 1 year ago. Since then, workplace accidents are down 73%. We've prevented 4 major incidents, saved an estimated $12 million in liability. More applause. But numbers don't tell the real story. Amelia's voice softened. A year ago, I nearly destroyed a good man because I couldn't see past my own assumptions. I judged him by his worn bag instead of his character, his burned shoe instead of his scarred hands. She stepped away from the podium. Walk to Noah. You saved my life 7 years ago. You asked for nothing, expected nothing. And when you had every right to be angry, to demand recognition, you just kept being who you are. Quiet, steady, good. Eleanor appeared from the wings. She carried something wrapped in silver cloth. She unwrapped it slowly. A shadow box. Inside, preserved behind glass, the small burned shoe, mounted next to a photograph of the warehouse fire, and a plaque. The plaque read, "In honor of Noah Briggs, who taught us that heroes don't wear capes, they wear work boots, and they show up every single day." Noah's eyes filled with tears. Evan tugged his father's sleeve. "Dad, you're crying." "Happy tears, buddy." The boy smiled, then he pulled something from his pocket. A folded piece of paper. He walked to Amelia, handed it to her. She unfolded it carefully. Another drawing. Noah pulling Amelia from the flames and Eleanor and Evan standing safely to the side, all of them smiling. At the bottom, in neater handwriting than before, "Some people save your life once. The best ones teach you how to live it better." Amelia knelt down, pulled Evan into a hug. Thank you, she whispered, for sharing your dad with us. She stood, looked at Noah, at Eleanor, at the crowd of employees who had learned to see differently. This company was built on steel and concrete, but it stands on something stronger. People who care, who show up, who do what's right even when nobody's watching. She raised her glass. To silent heroes, may we recognize them, honor them, and become them. The room erupted in applause, and in the front row, a small burned shoe sat in its case. A reminder that the most valuable things are often the ones we almost throw away. Subscribe if you believe heroes often come in work boots, not capes. Share this story if someone needs to hear it today.